Welcome, everybody, to Campaigns and Concoctions, where we are a bunch of wondrous weirdos who like to drink and play TTRPGs. I'm going to initially apologize right now for a little bit of the echo. I am in a new space, and it is echoey as hell. So thank you so much for joining us on this adventure of cooperative storytelling. As always, if you would like to engage with us in a more interactive way, you can click the links below. Point. Today is episode 5 of our intro series, and we've got Jared today. Say hey, Jared.
Hey, what's up, fam?
Hey, we're excited to have you. It's been a very interesting set of conversations that we've been having. Starting off strong with Matt, and then the best one was probably Dustin's, and it was like 8 minutes. It was glorious.
Efficient.
It was efficient and supernatural, so everything you wanted. So, as always, we are drinking. What are we drinking, Jared?
So, I've been making something Rove with Fashion, and I made a brunchy version of it. When we play on Sunday, I'll go over the actual Rove with Fashion and share that with the group. But this is 3/4 ounce cognac, 3/4 ounce Old Grandad bourbon, and then 3/4 ounce of a chai vodka, chai infused vodka. And then a 1/2 ounce of coffee liqueur, and it hits all the right notes for the Rove with Fashion and puts the coffee liqueur spin on it, which is fun.
So to give you guys a little bit of insight, Jared and I, of course, across the state, just finished watching the U.S. women take the gold medal in the Olympic soccer.
Yeah,
so that's why it's
it's exciting to see them take the step back into stardom.
We have a chat group called Footy Degenerates, and it's people you've met, Matt and Jared and me, and then a couple others. But yeah, it's been really good. I am drinking this is a red wine. I was recently in Utah. I bought a bottle from IG Winery in Cedar City, Utah. It is the Seduction Bourbon Barrel Aged Red Blend. Oof, that was rough. And it is quite lovely. It's delightful. So.
Oh, I think I blew into the mic. I think that's what happened. I'm sorry. We won't do that again.
It happens. All right. So, as always, support local with your brews. Like this was, I was there. I bought it from the tasting room. Totally delightful. Great tasting room. If you're in Cedar City, Utah for the Shakespeare Festival, which I highly recommend, stop there. Buy. It's delicious. Excuse me. All right, then. So let's go ahead and get into this. So, Jared, if you wouldn't mind, tell us how you got into tabletop roleplay games.
So, back in middle school, I don't even know if I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but we did, I will call it RRRPG, which is recess role-playing games. There's no table involved. We usually just walked around the blacktop, and we did mostly Star Wars themed role-playing. We got experience pretending to be Sith or Jedi or picking up girlfriends. I remember solely ridiculous. But yeah, I just had a great storyteller named Spencer, who I'm guessing had experience playing D&D with his family or something, because he was super proficient in that back and forth storytelling dialogue. But that's all we did. There was no dice involved. It was just that, and then so it was just a blast. We did that for like a whole year.
So essentially LARPing.
Yeah. But we didn't run around. We didn't like act it out. It was just like literally storytelling back and forth, like interacting with a game or a narrator, and then we were playing characters. It's really cool. So that was kind of like the initial, like I even forgot about it until I think it came up one time when we were chatting. And then I also had, when I was working at Micro Center, had a couple friends that were doing D&D, and then they invited me into their group, and they actually switched to Werewolf, like the Vampire the Masquerade Werewolf version. I played 2 sessions with them. I still have a set of D10 dice that my buddy bought me. I only did 2 sessions with them, which is a bummer because it was super fun. And then anyway, that's how I got into it. And then I think the next question goes into how I got into the group, but
no, keep going.
Okay, yeah. So then into the group, I don't even remember if it was either Nate or Curtis probably that really got me in. I've known again, John, Nate, Dustin, Curtis through church. Nate and I think I knew Nate the longest. I don't know which one of them was going to that church first, but it is funny that that's where we started. Yeah, like everyone else was playing, and I got invited into the game, and just came and hung out and started playing. I played a cleric, and ton of fun. Wish I would have started this adventure into role playing sooner. I mean, role RPGs are like one of my favorite genres of video games to begin with, but it's just fun doing it in person, and that everything is a story of our minds, right? A collaborative story and that's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I think the constant theme here that everyone has had is that we've been trying to figure out who's known each other the longest, and like with the caveat that technically Dustin and I have known each other the longest.
Yeah, for sure.
We knew each other like when we were little.
Yeah,
right? Then, like, John and I met in 2008.
Yeah,
in a college course, and like it's been like this weird interweaving.
Yeah.
And really, it's kind of been John who's kind of been the central player of the story.
Look, I was trying to.
Totally wild.
John is not surprising that he's a central story though. Like he will roll into and with anybody that's in the room and doesn't have any sort of like, I have too many friends or too many acquaintances. There's never too many acquaintances for John. It's awesome.
It's the danger when John and I go out together, because we don't know strangers and we make everyone our friends. So like the next thing you know, especially if it's just the two of us and like we don't have anyone like adjacent, it's fucked.
It's so funny.
It's awesome. It's a blast. Yeah. Sweet, that was great. So why don't you give me a little bit of the inspiration for Sid?
So Sid started as like actually a meme concept. I kind of wanted to play something, I think just like age-wise different, and thought it'd be funny to play someone like older. And then the idea of playing a character that sounded like the undercover person in old slug lady in Monsters Incredible that's like, hello boys, and like doing a voice like that, which is not like sustainable through a campaign and super would get annoying. But and then I can't remember how. Oh, I was just saying someone toxic, I think, and then I was like looking up words like related toxics, and acidosis is actually like a medical condition where acid builds up in your blood. And I thought that was really funny, and just being like, I hate doing tropey like things that everyone does, and so like a lot of people will do fire characters or ice characters, and like I was like, it'd be really fun to do something different, and so also with that, so like acid came up, and so yeah, so like I just ended up building this sorcerer around around acid, so that really fit into making her the draconic sorcerer, finding a creative way to that like how she got her draconic powers, and then yeah, just full-fledged leaned into the acid, gave her a military background, and worked with Morgan a little bit since he actually has military experiences. I don't. I mean, then there's been back and forth and good and bad with that. But you know, we've worked it out as best we can. But she honestly has been a fantastically fun character for me to role play and think about. It's been the most uncomfortable character that I've ever role played, getting out of my own shoes and my own. As far as like, I'm probably the most religious out of our entire group, and so like playing someone that's more agnostic, like she doesn't necessarily believe there's not gods, but she doesn't have a god. Whereas like when I played a cleric, it was more in my comfort zone, things I knew, and having a military background is not something. You know, I've done a little reading, and I have a few friends that were in military, but nothing like I have any military experience or knowledge for the most part. Deep knowledge, let's say that way.
So there's a lot to unpack there. So let's go.
Yeah.
I usually had like a little question, but I'm not even gonna do that with you. We're gonna dive into this a little bit. So you came to me and said, hey, can we do this background thing? I said, if
Yeah.
you're going to do it, we're going to do it right.
Yeah.
And I created an entire military structure for the nation that you came from. And so to continue that in that uncomfortableness, how has it been that, or how's it felt? How's it been to deal with the fact that there are things in your character that your character 100% knows, but that you don't, that you have to rely on me to tell?
I think it's uncomfortable sometimes to like be like, I think it was last session even, or 2 sessions ago, one of the two, where I asked you like how would Sid feel about friendly fire? Like, and I knew the answer. Like nobody wants to lay down a artillery volley or a bomb strike on their comrades. But like, so it's uncomfortable. Like in that situation, I really didn't need to ask you, which was silly. Like I knew Sid's not going to do that. That's not in her character. But like there have been other situations where it is necessary. Like how would it feel to be the commander of like the Legion of the Dagger, right? And she's the, oh my gosh, what's her title? The Sergeant of the Dagger. Yeah.
Sergeant of the Dagger, yeah.
And like how would it be to feel in charge of troops and the responsibility? And the biggest thing I think that I didn't know going into even the character's background is the division between your combat force and then your strategic or
just report stuff,
right? And that like those are 2 different tiers of military structure. They're completely separate, if I got the picture correctly. Mostly
not necessarily separate, but like very different.
Yeah. And that, and so like that's something I didn't know about military structure. And so it's learning. Watch a couple podcasts you sent me. I really could dig even so much more if like this was like a professional thing. I could spend hours researching and learning about the character and doing homework. If I was writing a book or a novel, I would have so much to learn, finding resources like a Morgan or people in the military, or reading, just to even be able to write something that isn't offensive to people who have been in the military or experienced combat and war.
So in the same vein though, how does it feel to play something that is kind of antagonistic to your own personal belief structure, like belief that there is a deity? Like you're a fairly devout man, and like if anyone can tell from the last episode, John and I kind of riffed on the fact that agnostic and atheist is both us, but like our table is very diverse when it comes to religious beliefs, right? So it's like, how do you, as a very devout and very, I will say this, not what people think of when they think of a devout Christian man, because he's not judging. He's Jared's a very kind and generous and graceful man. So like, I want to put that out there, but how does it feel to have to role? Like, I think it's easy to go the other way, to come from my perspective and play a religious person. How does it come to go the other way?
It's definitely been a challenge. I mean, I've had agnostic friends. I would spend hours in conversation in middle school and high school, especially with one friend I have in mind, and going back and forth. Actually, 2 friends, I think about it. But like just back and forth about Christianity and religion versus there is no God. I will say, so I try to put myself in like the context of those conversations from the opposite perspective of what's it like to have not a faith structure, or really just rely on yourself and not have a deity to go to, like especially in the world of D&D, to or just rely on a unit of or a family of comrades, and that becomes a support structure. But it is a challenge, 100%. I think I've caught myself a couple times being like, should have played that probably a little different. Because you do default to what in your personal life experiences, and as much as it's hard to get outside of your own story in real life and try to put your feet in someone else's shoes and really be like, man, your story is really hard, or like that's a good part of your story, or like your life and your experiences. It's also hard to do that in character and game, and really try to remove yourself from your personal beliefs. And there is parts of me that are in Sid, like her compassion or her defending a family member or someone that she considers family to the death. Like that, I do think that's a part of me that is in Sid. But so it's not all there, but some of the big pieces. There are, again, it's just the biggest diversion of myself in a character that I've ever played.
I think that's one of the greatest things about TTRPGs in general, is that it allows you to explore the world that you don't know, and so it really teaches empathy. You know,
I'm just gonna throw one thing out because on the empathy thing, like, it was really crazy. I've run a couple games for Curtis and I's girls who are two 9-year-olds and two 6-year-olds, and even like we had to modify something for my daughter in game, and like she struggles with like sad sounds, so like us going "aw" in any game, but like it really hit me when we were doing it in D&D, and she said, I don't like that, like I can't play the game like that. So we've had to like kind of modify as a group and like teach empathy to the other girls and even as the parents to be like, we got it, like just do our best. If we make a mistake, it's okay, but like try to limit the all like on a bad dice roll. And she was very good at advocating, hey, let's just keep going, like if we can just keep roll the next dice or do the next thing without making a big deal out of it, then she's fine. So it's just cool that D&D allows like that empathy even between characters. Like we've had stuff to figure out at our table, like we've had conflict or and having to think about the empathy for each other has been huge. Not always easy, but it's great practice tool.
I think it's funny because there was we talk about like the satanic panic and all those kinds of things in the 80s and 90s, right? And this is one of the greatest ways to to teach people how to integrate properly with your fellow human being, like scheduling, being a decent person, right? Understanding that you may be the main character in your own story, but you're an NPC in everyone else's. Yeah. Right? Like those kinds of things. Like, so it's really interesting. So
yeah, well, I love it.
On to the last question.
Okay.
What are your hopes for the rest of campaign 1?
So I just want to see I would love to see, and I guess for me personally, I would love to see like some of the story arcs wind down. I love storytelling, and so just seeing some resolution to Scald's story, like in our last couple sessions, has been really like, that's fulfilling for me personally. So I think Sid has some storylines to wind down. I even maybe more than Sid's storyline at this point. I'm invested into Sark's storyline with the robots and seeing like a conclusion to like, where did he come from and why does he have this internal conflict? I'm trying to think. I think those are the big ones. And Patrice, like Patrice, and even not from. I think Patrice has honestly had the best character arc. I think in the whole, for the most part, I think so. In the whole campaign, Curtis is actually, as far as like individual character arc and like developing the character, so a resolution to Patrice's try new things and where that leads. I think that's like the big question I would love to see, and that's almost on Curtis to resolve more than anything else, which is fun. I'll give him a nudge.
Well, and I'm going to put this out there for my new DMs, because there's a bunch of them. I get a lot of DMs in Discord, in all my spaces, and on Twitter and everything. It's your choice as a DM on how much to wrap up your player stuff, and it's on them a little bit too. But like, I always like, there's always something more. So when the story that you see ends, those story arcs aren't always complete for the players, because that's real. That's verisimilitude, right? So it's something cool to think about if you're DMing either your first or a couple of games. So, but thanks, Jared.
Yeah.
This was super fun, as always. Thank you guys for joining us on this adventure of cooperative storytelling. Engage us in a more interactive way again below. Point.
This is so weird. My camera's so close. I have to go way back here to point. It feels so weird. I feel like a monkey arms here.
There's the difference between the webcam and the camera, right? So again, thank you guys so much. Get with us. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. Those numbers really do help us a lot, especially as we are a newer YouTube channel. You can get us anywhere that you find your podcast and on YouTube. But until next time, y'all, drink well.
Drink well.